Richard, it's been an exciting week. You've just had an award from Lambeth Palace. What was that for?
Well, it's one of the Lambeth Awards that the Archbishop awards every year, and this was the award for Witness and Evangelism, specifically with reference to the work we've been doing with Messy Church and Anna Chaplaincy, and also Who Let the Dads Out.
And so this kind of work, it's obviously a group work. It's something that it's an award for the Bible Reading Fellowship, BRF, which you're the CEO of. What are the things that have been the highlights for you in the last few years of the work that BRF has done?
Well, I think it's been exciting to see a number of ministries that all started, like BRF itself, in a single church, just trying to address a local challenge that's been identified, and to see how that's been able to grow and become a sort of national ministry, and we've been a catalyst to make that possible.
What kind of things have grown in that kind of way?
Well, Messy Church started in 2004 with one of my colleagues down in Portsmouth, Artist, where her husband was the vicar, and they wanted to try and find a way to engage with people who were in the local housing estate who never came anywhere near the church, but they were right on the sort of edge of the parish boundary. And then Anna Chaplaincy started in Alton in 2010, where they wanted to do something about ministry among the older members of the community. Who Let the Dads Out started in Chester in 2003, where they wanted to do something to reach fathers and father figures. There was a mums and toddlers group in the church, but there was nothing for the dads. So my colleague Mark, my former colleague Mark Chester, one day his wife said to him, "Why don't you do something about it?" And so he started a group called Who Let the Dads Out.
So there's so much great stuff going on. What have your big challenges been over the last couple of years?
Well, I think we've got no shortage, we've never had any shortage of opportunities. I've got colleagues who are amazing visionaries and pioneers in these different fresh expressions. I think is the collective term for the kind of things that we're doing. And they're the kind of people who have 100 good ideas before breakfast. So there's always a challenge of trying to discern which of the things we should do and take forward, and which of the things that we should put to one side. There's fundamentally a challenge of funding. There's always a challenge of funding. But I think also there's a challenge of raising up people to become involved. We're a big volunteer movement in many ways, and there's always a challenge of trying to raise up the people to get involved in their local churches, and then to make sure that they've got the support and the training and the equipping to be able to do the ministry. But at the same time, there's just such an amazing amount of evidence of God at work, and we hear all this testimony coming back, which is so encouraging.
How can the churches, we get things from you in our churches across the benefice. It's the Parenting for Life course. Tony Lisk hands out the Bible study notes in stone from BRF each month. We've got Messy Church going on. We're receiving from you. How, as a member of our congregations, how could we best support you? What can we do to support you?
I think there's a couple of things. I think first and foremost, prayer. I can't state I can't emphasise enough how much we value prayer support and how much we need prayer support. We're very much on the front line here, and prayers are needed more than ever before. I think prayer for God to release new opportunities, for God to release the resources. I think funding, as I said, is always a big challenge. So we're always looking for ways in which we can secure the funding that we need to be able to do all that we do to resource others. But I think also one of the things that you can really helpfully do for us is to let us know how things are going, because it's fantastic to hear the stories of lives changed, things that went well, also sometimes things that don't go well, so that we can hear about those and find out ways to address some of those things, but also so that we can play our part in sharing both the good news and the challenges across our different networks and constituencies. And of course, we sit at the heart of all these movements, whether it's Parenting for Faith or Anna Chaplaincy or Messy Church, or indeed the BRF movement of people who are involved reading our Bible reading notes and other resources. and have been doing for in some cases for decades. But actually hearing what's happening out there in the local church is both such an encouragement to us, but also, frankly, it helps us when we're talking to trusts or to major donors and trying to encourage them to support our work. I have to just tell you one thing. You mentioned Bible reading notes earlier on. Right at the beginning of lockdown, in our New Daylight Bible reading notes, our editor of New Daylight was looking at some chapters from Ezekiel, and these notes were the actual readings in New Daylight just as lockdown started. You would not believe how many letters and emails we've had from people saying, I can't believe how relevant these readings are, and yet they were written nearly a year ago. You know, the way that God has used them to speak to so many people, and so that's happened several times since then as well with other contributors to our Bible reading notes. So it's just wonderful the way that God speaks to us in the current situation that we find ourselves in, through people who wrote, you know, months and months and months ago, and he speaks in different ways to so many people through the same Bible reading and comment, you know, on a single day, and we just give such grateful thanks for that.
So our prayers are about to be led by our Missy Church leader and her family.
Fantastic.
And in the Dinton Missy Church, Claire and her family are going to now lead our prayers. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.